Did you know that the Bible is supportive of the death penalty? This may perhaps come as a shock to you, as Christianity is known as a religion of love. However, Christianity does support the death penalty as a just punishment. Exodus 21:12 states that he who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. The New Testament also states in Romans 13:2, therefore he who resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and they who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. So that verse is saying that those who oppose the authority, because God has created authority, is opposing God, and they will be condemned and punished for those actions. The Bible, though, is not the only historic element that dates back to the death penalty. Hammurabi's code also states an eye for an eye, meaning the punishment must be equal to the crime. This dates back all the way to 1754 BC. So today, I would like to persuade you to support the death penalty and view it as a just penalty for certain crimes. So let's begin by addressing the need for the death penalty. There are two main reasons why the death penalty should be supported by all members in society. The death penalty serves as a severe deterrent to encourage members of society to comply with the law and maintain peace and order instead of contributing to heinous crimes. This shows society that there are extreme consequences for your actions, and that society is serious about taking drastic measures to ensure safety among a community. Genesis 19:6 in the Bible states that whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of God he made man. So that is saying that God made man, and God will punish those who take away those that he made in his image. The other issue that society faces is justice. The Merriam-Webster definition of justice is the process or result of using laws to fairly judge crimes and criminals. As Hammurabi suggests in Hammurabi's code, the only sensible punishment is one that equals the crime, or as it states in Hammurabi's code, an eye for an eye. According to the U.S. death row study, over 95% of all inmates on death row have been accused and justified of committing their crime. So only 5% of all inmates on death row have actually not committed their crime, which is very low in the scheme of things. So now that we've talked about two issues that society faces, let's now talk about how the death penalty can help solve these certain issues. The death penalty can help solve one of America's greatest issues, which is closure. It can bring justice and closure to the victims. The death penalty finally can allow the victim to put his head down at night, knowing that justice has been served and the perpetrator won't strike again. Without this closure, the perpetrator could haunt the victims and eventually strike again one day. So according to the National Institute of Justice, within 3 years of release, about 2/3 of released prisoners were rearrested. Within 5 years of release, about 3/4 of released prisoners were rearrested. Of those prisoners who were rearrested, more than half were arrested by the end of the first year. The death penalty is a practical way for criminals to receive the punishment that they deserve. Some argue that the death penalty is a cruel and gruesome punishment that should not happen to anyone, no matter what crime they make, which could be true. But times have changed and history has progressed, and painless, lethal injections are now the most common form of the death penalty. So I am urging you to consider supporting the death penalty as a just punishment. Also, the death penalty serves as a deterrent to encourage others to follow the law. Without this death penalty, crime rates would go through the roof. As Federal Communications Commissioner, Paul Zimmerman demonstrated that each state death deters an average of 14 murders annually. So, in 2015, there were 28 wide deaths. That means that according to Zimmerman's data, 392 murders were deterred last year, saving over 392 lives. So closure can finally be released from the victims and their family. Lastly, it gives the criminal a punishment that they deserve and that can never be taken back. I could not